Coming up next on the Rockbridge Report, Governor Youngkin tells Virginians it'll take time to clean up damage from Hurricane Helene.
We just want to make sure that people are in dry, safe places.
We'll tell you what road conditions are like around Rockbridge. Our own Katie Eubanks tells us the sun will return next week.
And later, Rockbridge County High School decides how or if to enforce a new statewide cell phone ban.
It is a distraction. Cell phones have been really bad when we're trying to control bullying type behaviors.
After that, a Norfolk 7th grader becomes a flight school's youngest pilot in training. All that and more coming up next on the Rockbridge Report.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news from Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Welcome to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Caden Buss.
And I'm Emmy Amison.
President Joe Biden traveled to Florida and Georgia Thursday to survey storm damage caused by Hurricane Helene. Biden made stops in Tallahassee and Perry, where he toured the devastation from his helicopter. The president stopped in Valdosta, Georgia, this afternoon to meet with officials and discuss recovery efforts. This comes after Biden approved additional federal funding for the state. Biden visited the Carolinas yesterday to see the impacted communities there. At least 200 people have died due to Hurricane Helene.
Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin told Virginians to brace for more rain from Hurricane Helene. Earlier this week in Richmond, Youngkin confirmed that there are at least 2 dead as a result of Helene. Some areas of the state have seen 9 inches of rain in just a 3-day period, leading to flooded towns and downed trees. Around Rockbridge, parts of North Lee Highway and Collierstown Road are closed due to downed power lines. Governor Youngkin said the fallout from Helene continues to be a problem for the Commonwealth.
We just want to make sure that people are in dry, safe places. Road crews have been absolutely phenomenal getting the roads cleared. Although there are still a lot of roads that we've got debris on, we're getting the debris off. We, of course, have a lot of damage to the roads.
Katie Eubanks joins us later to explain how the hurricane's affecting your 5-day forecast. Plus, we'll take a closer look at damage in Virginia.
The Lexington Police Department named a new detective from within the department to focus on a growing number of domestic abuse and sexual assault crimes. Sergeant Jessica Burks started earlier this week on her new assignment. The Rockbridge Report's Alejandra Pacheco is live at the Lexington Police Station with the details. Alejandra, what can we expect from this new detective?
Well, Caden, Sergeant Burks has been with the department since 2011. The new detective slot is funded by a $200,000 state grant. Domestic abuse cases shot up to 34 last year, up from 4 the year before. Department Chief Angela Green said most cases come from repeat offenders. Burks says she took the job after a 2017 case ended up in the victim's murder. She says she hopes to get more serious punishment for domestic abusers. Reporting live from the Lexington Police Department, I'm Alejandra Pacheco. Back to you, Caden.
Thanks, Alejandra. Make sure to check out the full story at rockbridgereport.wlu.edu. 3 Israeli airstrikes struck the southern suburbs of Beirut today. One strike targeted the working-class neighborhood of Haraik, according to Lebanese state media. Another strike hit a health center in the heart of Beirut. The Lebanese Ministry of Health says 6 are dead with 7 wounded. Hezbollah announced shortly after the blast that its media office was targeted via a WhatsApp group it shares with reporters. CNN teams there heard large blasts and saw large plumes of smoke rising from southern suburbs of the city and are hearing the sound of drones in the skies overhead. The Israeli military did not give prior warning for the strikes.
Businesses are settling into their new locations in the Lexington area, and more national chains are on the way. Sunrise Barbecue in Toqueria, Jalisco, opened this year in a shopping center on East Nelson Street. A True by Hilton Hotel recently opened, and a Residence Inn by Marriott is under construction. County officials say events at the colleges and horse center, along with traffic from the interstates, likely attract chain businesses to the area. Read Kate Keeley's story at rockbridgereport.wlu.edu.
Main Street Lexington may soon be home to 35 relocating Washington and Lee offices, but many in downtown Lexington are wondering how the university's use of this space may impact the city's atmosphere. The Rockbridge Report's Bella Timmerding reports.
The Planning Commission approved W&L's request for a permit to utilize space in the Rockbridge building on Main Street with a 5-1 vote at its meeting last Thursday. Richmond-based developer John Adamson purchased the building back in late 2022. He plans to renovate the entire space, adding new safety features, including water sprinklers, to the building. Washington and Lee's Advancement, Archaeology, and some student organization offices are just some of the offices moving into the second level and back of the 17th South Main Street building, leaving the storefronts available for businesses. In a phone interview, Adamson said, "The school needs the town and the town needs the school. If there's an opportunity to update these buildings to follow new safety measures while W&L utilizes unused space and frontal space for Lexington businesses is maintained, why not? These are leases that have a beginning and an end." But many fear this space will never switch tenants once W&L moves in, and say it could be used for something better than offices, such as creating more housing options for Lexington residents.
The problem, we have serious issues with lack of real estate in this town, with lack of available housing options for people of every income level.
Main Street Lexington employees say this is an opportunity to bring these older buildings up to fire safety code and protect the future of Main Street.
Because if we lose a block of these beautiful historic buildings, they don't get replaced.
City Council will vote on the permit at its October 17th meeting. This will be the final step in the application process. I'm Bella Timmerding for the Rockbridge Report.
Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, a new statewide school cell phone ban is up for debate in Rockbridge. We'll tell you the options the high school is considering.
Fraction. Cell phones have been really bad when we're trying to control bullying type behaviors.
After about 2 weeks of rain, we're finally starting to see some clear skies here in Lexington. Tune into my forecast for more. I'm Katie Eubanks from Rockbridge Report.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. Virginia's new guidance says public schools need to ban cell phones for the entire school day. But as Juliana Stevenson reports, Rockbridge County Public Schools hasn't decided if it will follow the guidance.
Governor Glenn Youngkin's executive order directed the Virginia Department of Education to create a cell phone-free education guidance for public school divisions. The final guidance asks schools to ban cell phone use for the entire day.
Students are able to access their phones in between classes and during lunch, but not during the instructional time. That's essentially what we're grappling with and what we're talking with our board with about how we're going to move forward with whatever policy it is they choose to adopt.
Youngkin issued the order because he said cell phones are negatively impacting students' learning and mental health.
It is a distraction. Cell phones have been really bad when we're trying to control bullying type behaviors.
Students and teachers say the current cell phone policy is inconsistent.
Some of the teachers are really lenient. Like, some of them don't really care if we have them out, but a couple of them are very, very strict on it. Like in Miss Paxton's class, we have to put our phones in the cubbies.
Some teachers are hoping the new policy will bring consistency, but Thompson says it is just guidance. While he says it would be wise to follow it, school administrators are yet to decide. They have decided to remove QR codes from the high school after parents complained.
Whether it's a flyer or posted on the big displays that are throughout the school, it might have the name of the group and it has a QR code. Find out when we meet, scan the QR code, scan the QR code. She doesn't have a cell phone. It's just becoming more and more prevalent, and it's just not equitable.
Light bulb kind of came on when I heard that. I was like, you know, I've never even thought of that before. So we're going to work around that so that nobody has a disadvantage by not having a phone.
Virginia asks that public school divisions enforce its new policies by January 1st, 2025.
There shouldn't be a lot of changes anyway. The biggest one will be basically if we choose to go bell to bell or if we choose to keep it the same.
For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Juliana Stevenson.
Buena Vista City Council slashed its property tax rate by about 30% in July. The city used to have one of the highest tax rates in Virginia, but the recent cut brought the city's tax rate 32 cents below the state's average. Read Channing Chilling's story at rockbridgereport.wlu.edu.
Port of Virginia longshoremen are on strike in Norfolk this week. The workers allege the port is trying to replace them with automation. The strike shut down all the major dockyards on the eastern seaboard of the U.S. and the Gulf Coast. The International Longshoremen's Association represents the approximately 45,000 dock workers who walked off the job Tuesday. The union is demanding, along with hefty pay raises, a total ban on the automation of gates, cranes, and container moving trucks in its ports. But it's unclear whether they'll be able to stave off a trend that has seeped into virtually every workspace. A $1 million state grant will give an old factory building new life in Goshen. The Stillwater Worsted Mills plant will be transformed into a museum and antique restoration shop. The Rockbridge Report's Liz Trubeck has the story.
The Virginia Mechanical Preservation Society will convert the old Stillwater plant into a museum in Goshen. Goshen Mayor Tom McCross says the $1 million grant is part of a state initiative to help economic development.
It's going to bring some people and hopefully a good hunk of money into this town, and that's what we need.
McCross says the grant will help Goshen's 300 residents and visitors too. The town's old mill will soon restore and house steam locomotives, rail cars, and World War II era vehicles.
One of the main things that's going to draw tourists in here, they will be set up to repair a lot of the older steam engines, which that has worldwide interest. They will be sawing the lumber and making these mini houses. That's will create probably 15 to 20 jobs.
The money for the project comes from the Industrial Revitalization Fund. Rockbridge County's Director of Economic Development, Brandy Flint, said the grant will, quote, breathe new life into a historic structure that has long been a symbol of both challenge and opportunity. The plant operated for 75 years and was the largest employer in town before closing its doors in 2003. Now, for the second time, the plant can have a widespread impact on the small town.
There's a lot of people who are fascinated with rail or cars, military history. So if you can get a couple touch points of a few different themes, that really helps to draw people together. Given the kind of rail network that went through Goshen, that's a good site for that particular kind of history. You're able to kind of build an audience. You know, you come for the trains, but you stay for this.
Work on the site is set to begin soon. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Liz Trubeck.
Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, a Western Virginia woman's home was destroyed from Hurricane Helene flooding. Katie Eubanks breaks down what the hurricane means for Rockbridge weather.
It was horrible. Every time a log would hit the building, I thought it would push us on down. The water, it was so swift all around us.
And later, our own Caroline Shimp tells us about WNL Volleyball's continuing undefeated streak. All that coming up on the Rockbridge Report.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. A Damascus, Virginia woman's home was destroyed by floods as Hurricane Helene continues to dump rain in southern Virginia. CNN's Linda McMurray has the story.
Flooding on Friday carried away Linda McMurray's childhood home. She and her husband, Carl, took life jackets to the second floor.
It went like a bulldozer down through there, pushing outbuildings out of the way and stuff. And we got down through there about, a couple of football field lengths, and it settled over on a little higher ground and stopped. And I thought, this is going to be good.
But that's when the trouble really started. The house breaking apart, Carl getting carried downstream, clinging to a tree for hours, both thinking they had lost each other forever.
It was horrible. Every time a log would hit the building, I thought it would push us on down. The water, it was so swift all around us. And all night I kept praying, repeating the Lord's Prayer and the 23rd Psalm.
About 3 hours in, Carl was able to flag down a neighbor who called for help. An hour later, a helicopter showed up.
I don't know the guy's name. It's a chopper. But they did a good job.
Meanwhile, Linda was sitting on the second floor of what was left of their home, wrapped in a couple of Afghans to stay warm.
I was dry all night. I never did get wet, only my feet. There was a roof over me, and I ended up in my little sewing craft room. My sewing machine was still sitting there, a quilt pieces that I had been working on, but I was there 16 hours.
It seems we've finally escaped the rains that Hurricane Helene brought.
Yeah, fortunately, Lexington did not face the brunt of Hurricane Helene. So, Katie, can you tell us about the lingering effects here in Lexington?
That's exactly right. After about 2 weeks of rain here in Lexington, we're finally starting to see conditions clearing up. So here we have our live shot in Lexington. This is in a Lexington neighborhood. As you can see, skies are finally starting to clear up here. So now looking at some of our current conditions here in Lexington, the high today earlier was 75 degrees and our low this morning was 62 degrees. Barometric pressure is at 30.14 inches and a wind speed is currently at 4 miles per hour and humidity is relatively high right now at 71%. So taking a look here at our radar, as you can see, our clouds are finally starting to clear up. We are definitely going to start seeing some more sunny conditions here in Lexington and the surrounding area. Taking a look at current conditions, as you can see, there is cloud coverage everywhere right now, but we will see that finally starting to clear up moving into Friday and this weekend. So in Lexington right now, it is 74 degrees, in Stanton 73, Charlottesville 73, Buena Vista 73, Lynchburg 74, and then taking a look over here in Covington 69 degrees and Roanoke 77. So looking at our upcoming conditions here, tomorrow, Friday, is our last day of clouds with a high of 78. And then moving into this weekend, we do have some much better conditions, definitely great for being outside. As you can see, some sun and the highs in 80, low 80s, and high 70s. Moving into next week, we have some sun continuing, no more clouds. Monday, a high of 76, low of 44, and Tuesday, a high of 71 and a low of 42. Back to you, Emmy and Caden.
Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, the story of two brothers, a coach and a quarterback on Washington and Lee's football team.
A Beverly, Virginia 7th grader becomes the Norfolk Flight Academy's youngest student. Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. Generals football is looking to bounce back in a big way this week after their trip to Texas.
Yeah, if I traveled to Texas, I'd definitely be excited that my bye week was following it. So Caroline, how's football feeling?
That's right, Emmy. The Generals are definitely looking for a win this weekend. Washington and Lee football starting quarterback Ty Collins. Here's his brother Tony yelling encouragement at every game. Tony's not just a supportive sibling, he's also the Generals' defensive line coach. The Rockbridge Report's Mackenzie Kane has the story.
The Washington and Lee football team has a new arm leading their offense.
That's it.
Sophomore quarterback Ty Collins. But his loudest cheers come from the sidelines.
Here we go.
From his big brother, Tony.
Good arm, Wes.
The Generals' defensive line coach.
I look at a lot of these guys like little brothers, little mentees, but to actually have one that's, just like actual blood, I mean, it's awesome.
Despite all the time they spend together on field, many students haven't spotted the sibling resemblance.
Most people around here on campus probably still don't know, but I'm usually laid back and I really don't talk that much, and he's out open, and every time he goes somewhere he's talking to anybody and everybody, so it's pretty opposite, yeah.
For Ty, knowing his brother would be on the sidelines solidified his choice to come to Lexington.
Yeah, it's really exciting having him come out here every day and be able to have especially a familiar face like that. My brother brings the energy for me because sometimes I don't always have it, so having him there always gives me that extra notch.
But in true big brother fashion, all Coach Collins wants is to see his little brother succeed as a general.
You grow up, you want to see him be better than you, and I get to see that growing process now almost every day. I mean, it's amazing. I tell everybody I'm living the dream. I taught him all I could teach him back then. Now let the professionals handle it.
Reporting from Lexington, Mackenzie Kane, Rockbridge Report.
WNL football lost 16-10 to Trinity, Texas at an away game last month. They'll play Averett at home this weekend. But WNL volleyball swept Virginia Wesleyan 3-0 at home last night to continue their undefeated record. VMI men's soccer tied 1-1 at Radford yesterday, but VMI women's soccer started the month off also with a win 2-1 against the Citadel. SVU men's soccer battled to a draw against EMU and Harrisonburg last week, while men's football fell 42-23 to Greensboro College last weekend. Rockbridge High School lost to Broadway High School 41-0. They'll take on East Rockingham tonight, while volleyball beat Spotswood High School 3-1 and takes on Broadway High School also tonight. Perry McClure football swept Stonewall Jackson 55-0 last week. They'll play against Fort Chiswell this Friday. And volleyball beat Eastern Montgomery, who they had previously fallen to earlier in the season, 3-1. The Generals will take on Averett this weekend at 5 p.m. Saturday. Back to you, Caden and Emmy.
Thanks, Caroline. Plains can be fascinating to any kid, especially for one 7th grader in Virginia's Tidewater region. The 12-year-old boy is making history as the youngest student to enroll at a flight academy in Norfolk. CNN's Beverly Kidd has more on his story, which is uplifting in more ways than one.
From a young age, planes have always fascinated Norfolk resident Aiden Schneider.
At the age 8, he asked me, he says, "Dad, can I go flying?" I said, "Sure." Took him out for a fan flight here at Norfolk Flight Center.
On that flight, the instructor let Aiden take the yoke and fly the plane.
I was just amazed, and it was scary, but more amazing than scary.
First instructor says he knows how to fly, so enrolled him, and from then on I took off from there.
Becoming the youngest student ever enrolled at the school.
We can actually start them at any age, that their parents give them permission, and then pretty much they're able to reach the pedals.
Aiden's flight instructor and owner of the Norfolk Flight Academy, Peter Serena, says the 7th grader is a natural.
Even today we switched him to another airplane to fly because we had the other one wasn't available. So with that aspect, he transitioned from one to the other, picked it up, did a real nice job flying that one today.
Looking down on the views, and it feels great to see the trees and everything, and just the fact that you're practically on the road in the sky.
60 flight hours later, Aiden seems very comfortable behind the controls of this single-engine Cherokee with a proud mom along for the ride. He says his friends didn't believe him at first when he told them he could fly a plane.
When I told them that I was actually flying, and then I showed them my flight gear, they were like, "That has to be your dad's."
His dad was in aviation maintenance in the Navy, so maybe that made an impression on the young pilot early on. Even though he can't get his pilot's license until he's 17, he's already navigated a clear itinerary for the future.
My long-term goal is to become a commercial pilot. I don't know what airline yet, but the progression to get there is first to get my private pilot's license for a single engine, which are like these piston engines.
Then the sky is truly the limit for this inspiring young man, and that's why he is positively Hampton Roads.
That's all for the Rockbridge Report. Thanks for watching.
Join us next Thursday for another half-an-hour edition of the Rockbridge Report.